Yes, we'll find out just how many pools of blood Piggy got here at the end of this review. But as usual, we'll start off here with the IMDb plot. An overweight teen is bullied by a clique of cool girls poolside while holidaying in her village. The long walk home will change her life forever. All right. Couple of things to get off the top here. This was on Hulu. I believe that's where I saw this, and pretty much watched it because I think it landed in some people's top 10 for 2022. If not, I believe I saw some other people write some good things about the movie. So when I saw that it was there, I said, "Oh, okay, let's see what everybody's talking about here," because otherwise I probably would not have put it on. And I will say I'm going to give, this is a fairly new movie, somewhat of a spoiler alert here because, this is a very interesting movie that brings, a couple of issues to light and the choices that the young girl here is going to have to make. And I might have to give away a few things to kind of explain exactly what she goes through here. There's no grand twist here. It's a lot about the choices that she is going to have to make. So I will try my heart is not to give away every choice that she does make, but I'm not going to promise I won't give away something along the way. I might goof on that. But anyway, let's start kind of set up and get into some of these choices that she has to make. The movie is called Piggy, obviously. And unfortunately, that's one of several bad names they call this young girl, who I believe her real name is Sarah. And being called Piggy most likely means that she is overweight, and she is overweight here. And, she kind of trying to keep to herself, do her own thing. But that doesn't always work. You have people are mean. People want to bully. We've seen a lot of horror movies, especially recently, touch on bullying. Even horror movies in their own is kind of a form of bullying. So we have it here. So that's a central theme in the movie, kind of what sets up what's to follow here. She gets bullied not only by the girls there, but her mom, shows her some tough love as well. So she has that, going on at home to deal with as well. One day, we get a little bit of introduction to her, some interaction with the girls early on, and then we see, the first time we see this, they have a local pool or so forth that everybody seems to go to. Is pretty busy, has a lifeguard, has somebody waiting on the tables there for everybody and so forth, for people to enjoy. And that's, it seems like it's a little ways outside of the main village or where, she is working and living. She works at her family's butcher shop or some sort, or she's at least there and helping out. And that's where we see her. Some of the time we see her at home. And then there's this pool. So the first time you see the pool, you see a lot of people there. The second time you see it, you see her go to the pool. And there's nobody there. I assume it was really early on. And nobody has gotten there yet. So being bullied, being overweight, being the way she is, a little shy and so forth, she tend not to want to swim when everybody's there. She gets to the pool. It appears that nobody's there. Not even the lifeguard, not even the person, waiting tables or whatever. So the pool is there. She starts taking off her clothes to her bathing suit, and she is preparing to get in the water when some guy comes up from under the water. And he's just there. He kind of looks at her. She looks at him. Nothing's really said. He's just there kind of floating around and in the water there. And she kind of has to make the decision. Am I going to go swimming still? Or am I still too shy because this guy's in the water? And I'm not going to go swimming. So she kind of gets close to the pool, still kind of undecided. When on this kind of bridge thing on the other side, 3 girls appear. And these are obviously the girls that are bullying her. And one of them is kind of her friend, is kind of more on the light side and kind of with the bullies, but is maybe not also, so set forth on making fun of Sarah. But the 2 girls let her have it. They start saying all kinds of mean stuff to her, teasing her, whatever. So, of course, she feels kind of awkward there in her bathing suit, so they can't see her. She just goes ahead and jumps in the water. But they continue to say mean stuff to her and so forth. Then they come down, and they also, kind of making fun of her because they see that, there's a guy in the pool with her too. But they proceed to come down, take her clothes, and run off with them, leaving her there, to basically bathe. She kind of goes under the water to kind of get away from them and not hear them anymore. And so they take the clothes and go off. And so does the guy. The guy kind of disappears and goes off as well. She does her thing. She swims. She eventually gets out. She has no clothes to change into. So she embarrassingly has to kind of walk home with nothing to cover herself. She's still in her bathing suit. So as she's going down this path, she's crying, she's upset. There's a car on the side of the road there, and she kind of passes it. Might take kind of a brief look at it and so forth, and a little strange there, whatever. But she's still kind of upset and kind of focused on the events that just happened, so she kind of passes it. But as she's passing, she kind of notices something strange. And it seems like one of the girls is in the back of the car. And not in a good way. And before she knows it, the guy that she was just swimming with is coming out of the driver's seat. And the audience got to see, a little bit of him kind of wrestle these girls into the car, or at least one of them. He kind of sees that she passes, so he opens the door and he drops her clothes out of the door. Yeah, interesting. And then he proceeds to drive off. So she kind of turned, she's kind of there. She saw at least one of the girls. She saw a bloody handprint. And she now has her clothes. So who had her clothes? She knows who had her clothes. So the wheels start turning in her head. Obviously, the audience kind of knows what just happened. And, she's got to gather herself and go home. Also, what I didn't mention is that while she was under the water in the pool, she didn't really notice it, or at least you don't get clued in that she noticed it. But they clearly show the audience something else that happened in the pool. And why basically no one is at the pool. No lifeguard, no waiter. Yeah. So she goes home, but by the time she goes home and whatever, her mom is dragging her back to the pool because there's a giant scene there because the police have found bodies in the water. Yeah, bodies in the water. Ooh. As her mother kind of drags her back there, she pretends that, oh no, I didn't go to the pool today, I went to the river instead. The wheels are spinning. She knows, she's kind of in shock by the fact that there are dead people in the water. She knows what happened to the girls, but she's still thinking about it. She's not sure what to do and what to say and whatever. And she, her mom is tough, like I said, a little bit of a bully in her own right, but trying to get her daughter on the straight and narrow and so forth. So there's a lot of things going on in this young girl's head. But she doesn't tell the police what she saw or what she knows and so forth. And nobody's really certain yet that the girls are missing. There's some hint to, hey, where are these girls? But nobody's, really truly panicked yet. But soon enough, that panic is going to set in, and there are going to be people looking for the girls. And there's going to be confrontation, girls' parents and friends, or other friends, or boyfriend, I think one of them, is going to come, asking questions about, was she at the pool? Where are the girls? You had a conversation. Blah, blah, blah. The two parents are going to go at it and so forth. So, all mind you that basically, when I talked about early on, this girl is going to be faced with choices and choices to make. And she's put in a very, interesting situation here. And, sometimes you just watch a horror movie, watch what unfolds, but sometimes if you put yourself in their shoes or just kind of, do a level of thought to what is going on here and to think about the character and the choices that she has to make, it becomes pretty interesting because these girls bullied her. And yeah, this guy is clearly a nut job. Is more than likely not going to, he's apparently killed a couple of people already. Is apparently not going to do anything good to these girls. Spared your life. He didn't kill her in the pool. He didn't kill her when he knows that she saw him with the girls in the car, because he doesn't really know if she saw the bodies in the water or he did it. But she does know that he took the girls away, but still let her live. Didn't do anything to her. Almost took sympathy with her. And, maybe he's doing what he's doing because he was in her situation at one time, that he was bullied. Maybe he didn't get the pretty girl. So now he's taking it out on others. So there's kind of that, common theme that they're going at. And they have something in common without even, knowing it. Not that she's a killer, but, thought there. And, does she say it? Does she ignore it? Does she let these girls just die at the hands or whatever this guy's going to do? Like I said, one of the three girls is sort of her friend, sort of nice to her, but, not completely, because she's still hanging around with these other girls. Does she have any sympathy for that girl? What is it that she's going to do? And, can she handle the pressure? There's more pressure from her mom. As this kind of goes on, the girls are really missing. The people go looking for the girls. She has a bit of curiosity to herself, and she starts going and sniffing around, and then kind of getting, almost forcing herself to even have to make a decision, because she almost has to prove it to herself that she really saw what she saw, and she starts snooping around and kind of getting herself deeper into the situation where, maybe she could have just been like, okay, I'm going to let them die and I'm going to lie and just go on my way. But, she almost kind of gets more into it because she gets more into it. So it's all a series of choices that she's going to lead her deeper into this. And, she's going to have a side, eventually get to a point where she has a side to choose. Is she going to side with the killer, who seems apparently okay with letting her live and almost defending her? And you'll see that it gets to a point where he basically does defend her. And does she stay on that side of it? Or does she eventually try to save the girls and do away with this guy who's doing bad stuff? And that's basically kind of what it ends up boiling down to. And I'll try to kind of leave it at that as far as what she ultimately decides, what ultimately kind of happens there. But it's just a very fascinating situation that she finds herself in, that he's kind of on her side, the choices that, she now has to make. And, you kind of think about it, what would you do? Would you let him, did they torture her enough that they're willing to die as punishment for bullying, death, or whatever it is that he's going to do with these girls? Obviously nothing very good. Did they bother her enough that she's like, you know what, you were really mean to me and now you're going to die, and this guy's pretty cool, he's on my side, and that's it. So it's just a fascinating situation. Lots of interesting stuff going on there. And the excitement builds. There's just a lot of craziness going on early on, and there's like taking in the situation and all the cards that are to be dealt there. And then the excitement happens at the end of seeing what she does, what he does, what happens to these girls, and so forth. I tried not to give that away. It gets kind of exciting and crazy there at the end. But it's just a good, interesting, very situation that kind of comes, and how they pieced all that together. And, like I said, would you let them die? Would you save them? Would you just be so terrified of this killer that he knows who you are that you're just like, hey, I got to get up and go? Obviously, she doesn't really have a choice, because wherever her mom is, that's basically where she's going to go. She can't really hide. All that kind of stuff, it's just ends up being one of those things. You watch her and her decisions, and it's like, what would you do? So very, very interesting stuff there. The movie is Spanish. It says it was Spain and France, but the movie is mostly Spanish as far as I remember. I believe it was it translated, or I don't remember if it was dubbed, or if it was you had to read the entire time. I really don't remember, but I don't remember how Hulu has it set up either. I don't remember how I watched it. If they dubbed, I think it was dubbed. But it was, I guess it's originally either Spanish/French film, or at least shot there. I think now that I take a second, I think it was dubbed. So you have that at play. I know that's not for everybody, but sometimes it's good to watch foreign horror. And I'm fine with that. It's kind of grown on me as we've gone on. But yeah, if you really get kind of dive yourself into her and the choices she has to make, whatever, I think you really enjoyed this movie. And then what ultimately happens. Sometimes, I will say that when you look at horror and you take horror for what it is a lot of bad stuff happening, but in a lot of horror movies, it ends up, kind of wrapped up in a bow and a happy ending. And sometimes I get frustrated by that, because I'm like, if it is truly horror, why does it always have to end in a good note? Like, some movies could end in a different way. The bad guy could win, or a different bad situation could happen. I know then sometimes it's hard to end a movie in that kind of scenario, but why not? Sometimes you just kind of think of it, what if it went in this direction? And I'll kind of leave that as that, without, might kind of spoil the way the movie ends, or maybe what you might think happened based on what I just said. But like I said, she has a lot of choices, and a lot of different things could have happened. And what I'm just saying is, basically, if certain X choices are made, it could have even been more horror, or it could have just been different. And why isn't that horror kind of doesn't end more horror in a more horror way more times? I guess that's the way to say it. I don't know if it makes sense in my mind. I don't know if it makes sense to any of you guys. Maybe if you see it, maybe you've seen it, know kind of where I'm hinting at, or even in other horror movies. Why is it Freddy always has to die, and Michael always has to die, and we got final girls on that? Why can't Jason just live and just go off to his cabin at the end, or wherever the hell he's staying, and just be like, that's it, I got rid of all these people here, and that's it, and stuff like that, kind of that direction. But whatever. To me, that is true horror, not the happy ends that we get all the time. The final girl beat Michael and Jason and Freddy and all of them, like, whatever. Anyway, rambling off here at the end. Anyway, I'm going to give this 3.5 pools of blood. I liked the setup, liked what they did here, liked all the choices, and just very fascinated by what was presented here in the situation. And if you really, really put yourself in the situation, I think you really enjoy the movie. if you kind of keep yourself away from it and just kind of watch, you might not enjoy it until maybe it gets towards the end, and a little bit more of the action kind of happens. But I'm going to give it 3.5 pools of blood out of 5, and leave it at that. horrorscorereviews.blogspot.com is down below, and that's where you can find all of my reviews, written and video. Twitter, Facebook information down below as well. Like, subscribe, follow, all those things to any of these things. If not, no problem. Everybody wants to do it. You do, you do. You don't, you don't. No problem. I do thank you if you did watch this review or any of the others, or participated in any of the other social networks that I'm on, and putting all kinds of crazy stuff and stuff to inform you and maybe have some fun. And in the comment section below, if you saw this movie, what do you think of the choices that she made or didn't make, and the situation that she's in? I'd be interested in knowing even what you would have done in her situation. So with that, I'll end it there, and I guess I will catch you in the next review, horror fans.